Hey guys, so today is our fifth, let me get my phone situated, our fifth Elephant Live, and it's been super fun. It's been super fun for me, at least, speaking personally. We've had tons of great comments from all of you and questions, and basically we go over something mindful every day. And then we meditate for 2 minutes with a little bit of instruction about 5 minutes into our little discussion. And we go for 20 minutes total. And you can find these discussions at elephantjournal.com. So I hope you're all doing super well. It's super hot here in Boulder, Colorado. I just got coffee, an almond, what I call a hippie milk cappuccino. And we were talking about how we have this bench made out of the back end of an old Chevrolet out front of Elephant's headquarters in Boulder, and on it we have below it we have a what do you call it? Clearly the cappuccino isn't clicked in yet. We have a cigarette butt can. Because so many people like to sit there and smoke. And then on it, we've written, please no smoking. We have to put the can there because so many people smoke, and then the smoke wafts into our office, and then we're all getting free cigarette smoke. It's very generous of them. And then, so the barista was making fun of how he was like, why do you have a ash can and you say, please no smoking? And I explained that we have to put the ash can out or there's just cigarette butts everywhere. And he said, you know, what's funny about Boulder is, he said they have the same problem over this cafe, the cup. People just smoke right in front and the smoke rolls in for everyone, whether they want it or not. And he said he goes out and asks people not to smoke there. And often they'll say, oh man, it's marijuana, it's not cigarettes. And he said this is one of the only places on earth where it's actually okay and encouraged to smoke pot, whereas cigarettes are, discouraged and looked down upon. So often people are like, no man, I'm cool, I'm just smoking a joint. Thought that was mildly funny. So last night I was at a climate change meeting, and climate change in America is synonymous for the word boring. Almost everybody loves to not care. We put up tons of climate change articles that are really interesting in specific little ways, like drought or the pine beetle has killed millions and millions of trees here in the Rockies in only 10, 15 years. It's tragic, and Republicans and Democrats are really sad about losing our trees out in the country. And, it's super hot. We just had the hottest May in the world of any month ever, and it's only May. So last night I went and met with Xcel Energy, who is a big corporate behemoth of energy, and they've been dragged kicking and screaming to do a little bit of solar and a little bit of wind. This year, which is pretty awesome, they're doing 23% renewables, maybe getting up to 30%, but the city of Boulder is super green and inspired about this stuff, and also really good at business. We have a very strong business economy. I always like to say in Boulder, green equals green. We do a lot of environmental stuff, but our business economy is strong. And often a lot of the business leaders are great environmentalists. It kind of goes both ways. So I went, and there was this rare meeting between Xcel. They have almost no interest in coming to meet with people because almost everybody hates them for not caring about the environment, just caring about their bottom line. They build coal plants, they get tons of money for that. Coal is uncertain. I think like their top 8 coal producers are all filing for bankruptcy, which no one talks about. And yet last night, this amazing activist lady who hosted Xcel and was very nice with Xcel and incredibly respectful, a model to all of us. If you're a Bernie fan, you can be respectful to Hillary fans. If you're a Hillary fan, you can be respectful to Trump fans. If you're a Trump fan, you can be respectful to everybody. And, we need to be able to agree to disagree and to be agreeable when we disagree. So we did that with Xcel last night, and they did that with us, and that part was great. What wasn't great is that Xcel really basically wouldn't commit to anything or say anything. They wouldn't even verbally commit to anything. Like Leslie said, okay, to this lady, she said, dear lady, are you as a mother at all concerned about your children's future in terms of climate change? And the lady And she said, on a scale of 1 to 10, are you concerned about our children's future? I feel, Leslie said, like my children, the future generation, is in a house that's burning down. And there's a lot of signs to back that up. From India, the Himalayas are losing their glaciers, and that's a watershed that provides the water for almost all of Asia. The oceans are acidifying, which you may not care about when you go get your sushi, but the fact is we're overfishing even the baby fishes, and fish populations are collapsing. Again, we've all heard this, but why it matters is half the world eats fish every day. So we're really looking at kind of collapsing ourselves and hurting ourselves. So just Republican, Democrat, if you care about the economy, if you care about the planet, or conservative liberal, I should say, since many of you aren't in the US, it really is time to give a care. So this lady from Xcel, she said, first of all, I have to speak off record. And myself and other media in the audience said, fine, that's fine. And then I'm only going to say what she said because she didn't say anything. So what she then said is, I can't say how much I care from 1 to 10. That's what she said. She couldn't even verbally say. It was a meaningless gesture if she cared or not. And that's what we're facing. So in Boulder, we've been trying to municipalize. You can Google municipalization Boulder. I've done videos on that. You can look on youtube.com/elephant journal. So I realize that probably many of you don't consider yourselves environmentalists, but that's precisely my point. This is a time when, environmentalists or no, we all care about super hot temperatures. We all care about our electricity bills. We all care about hopefully domestic jobs and a good economy, and wind and solar are better for that, and better for the health of the workers who provide them than coal or natural gas, fracking. So it's time for us to walk our talk. Yesterday, or the day before, Sunday, a bunch of friends and I was super stressed out from work, and a bunch of my friends, I went swimming for the first time this summer, which was amazing. And I'm wearing swimming shorts today in hopeful anticipation that I'll make it back to the pool. And more than half of my friends wanted to drive to the swimming pool. And I said, come on, climate change, get on a bike. It's summer. We bike along the creek path. It's heaven. We're in Boulder. There's a bike path the entire way. And everyone I was going with was in reasonably good shape. And yet most of them drove. So if the Xcel Energy, the big corporate behemoths of the world don't care, what can we do right now to care? So obviously we could drive a little less, take a little public transport if you have it close to you. You can bike, you can walk, if you can. My mom walks everywhere. She's 71 now, which is crazy. She seems very young to me. But maybe she seems so young to me because she walks every day. And she's had tons of little injuries over the years, and she still walks. And it's fun. You get to see the trees and the birds. She's really into gardening. And it's relaxing to the mind and the heart. We've talked about that in prior of these Facebook Lives. So I realize that probably most of you, this is probably by far going to be the least popular Facebook Live I've done so far, because typically I talk about mindfulness tips in everyday life, and that's really about us. That's about me and my happiness and you and your happiness. But climate change really is part of that, and we need to stop thinking of it as climate change, and really what can we do in our daily lives that's enjoyable? So if you all have any tips in your life, what things you do that are green, whether it's the food you eat, you get it from farmer's market, you skip the plastic bag and you have a mesh bag. If you have any tips, you turn lights off when not in use, please leave them in comments and we can all learn from them. That would be great. Maybe I'll do a blog like the top 30 tips from elephant readers on how to be green and have fun doing so. We have lots of blogs on that on Elephant, but again, I feel like most of our readers, sadly, these days don't really care about the environment. Our readers in the last year or two, I think partially thanks to Facebook's algorithm, all you all seem to want to read is about love and relationships. So I encourage you, get our newsletter. That's a curated magazine. It's free, elephantjournal.com/join-the-cause. But you can also just click free newsletter on any page of elephantjournal.com. And that has all our best stuff. It has Buddhist stuff. It has non-New Agey spiritual stuff. It has green tips. It has videos. It has our best content, which includes love and relationships. But it's not just all these like love articles that we publish. They're great, but there's more to life than me and my relationship, I hope. Alrighty, so if you have any questions or comments, go for it. In the meantime, let's do a little meditation. So if you can join in, take a good posture. This will be very quick, 2 minutes. It'll look like you're working if you're listening from work. Just take a good posture, breathe, relax, upright spine and relax. So when I was 9 or something, I did a Shambhala training level, and my teacher, my meditation teacher, said, take a perfect posture and then relax. And I love that. So perfect, but then don't be too uptight. And then find your breath in and out. And appreciate the gap. You can hear the silence. I've been blah, 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 blah. Now just rest your attention on your breath, in and out, as if your attention is a surfer on the wave of your breath, in and out. This is Buddhist meditation, shamatha, called resting the mind. Now here comes the fun part, the magic part. When you find yourself thinking, notice that you're thinking, say thinking, and return your attention to the breath. And that trains your mind to come back from ego or self-concern or storyline to the present moment, so that you can enjoy life and not take yourself so seriously. In breath, out breath. Label it thinking and return your attention to the breath. Your eyes are open here. You're not trying to shut out the world. You're trying to mix mindfulness and your world together. Huh?
It's the only exit.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey everybody.
That's Dave and Caitlin. Caitlin's the handsome man in the hat.
Jenner.
So if you're distracted, that's fine. Just that's part of life. As you know, if you're a parent or a business person, distraction is constant. So that's fine. That's part of meditation. Label it thinking. Return your attention to the breath. And then dedicate the merit of what you just did, however small, to the benefit of all sentient beings, including yourself. And that's it. So if Ashley, who's in comments from Relephant, can leave the Daton meditation instruction article, that's the best all-time classic Buddhist meditation instruction from Trungpa. It's called Daton, D-A-T-H-U-N, Trungpa, T-R-U-N-G-P-A. And you can also read any of his books. They're fantastic. There's a ton of Trungpa stuff all over elephantjournal.com. And respectfully, you call him Trungpa Rinpoche, but in English or American, you just call him Chogyam Trungpa. Trungpa is his last name. Alrighty. All right, great tip from Mick Verbruggen. Great name too. When you go to the beach, woods, just take one piece of trash home. I admit I forget it sometimes, but every time you do, it's one piece less in our beautiful nature. And by trash, doesn't have to be a paper bag. Anything compostable you can leave. But if it's a, one of those white plastic to-go cups, those are plastic lined. Coffee to-go cups are plastic lined. Unless they're compostable, you're drinking hot liquid in a plastic container. Plastic and hot liquid, bad for you. So there's a reason cancer rates and the use of plastic in everyday life have, been largely parallel in the 20th century. All right, great tip, Mick. All right, any other tips from any of you? Kimberly Smith Bathgate, another amazing name. We've cut our energy consumption in half this year compared to previous years in this townhouse. I actually had an electric bill that was $9.90. I don't know what that means. 9.90 euros or pounds now. All right, Hilda, but that sounds awesome. Hilda says, and eat less meat. Right. I mean, meat is incredibly energy intensive. So even if you're not a vegan type like myself, it uses a ton of energy to create animals and then kill them and transport them and keep them fresh, and then wrap them in plastic. If you're a hunter, is a lot more eco, actually. So if you're a respectful hunter, you're not killing for pleasure. You're killing for food, and it's legal. You know, kudos to you over just going to the grocery store and getting meat that's plastic package. I personally wouldn't hunt because I don't need meat to survive, but I do respect people who are, you know, eating locally and doing it themselves and actually being intimate with that experience instead of kind of distancing themselves from the fact that you're killing kind of casually for a meal. But we didn't come here to be talked to by a vegan, I'm sure. All right, Ashley, I grow a garden and cook food from scratch. Ashley, kudos to you. And she grows a garden from an apartment. She doesn't have a big yard. You can do it. We have lots of great blogs on like herb gardens and that kind of thing. Brenda, hey from Gig Harbor, Washington. Yeah, try and say where you're from if you like. Yeah, as I expected, we have by far the least comments ever because I chose to talk about climate change, which is so boring. Douglas Mercado, thank you for discussing such an important topic. Hi from Chicago. Hey to you. Thank you for your comment. That was like pretty much the first and only comment about climate change. Alrighty. Climate change is fun, kids. All right. Kimberly, she takes a paper bag with her on her walks and picks up rubbish cans as she walks. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I never did that. And then this guy, Mike Smith, who was the owner of the Trident Cafe in Boulder for many years, he would always be walking around just picking up like cigarette butts and stuff. And he just inspired me. Like, it's not that hard. You get your hand dirty, big deal. You throw it away or you recycle, depending on what you picked up. And then your street's a little cleaner. It's like you can complain about things being messy or you can clean them up. Alrighty. Kat Beekmans, she's one of our best editors. Hey Kat, compost. It's easy to do even in a small space, smiley face. I also save clean gray water from the kitchen to water plants. I do that too. Gray water is super fun. I gray watered my laundry as well, which actually doesn't save that much because I have an eco-efficient, water-efficient washer. But yeah, gray water is simply a term for saving water. It shouldn't be soapy unless you're using one of those biodegradable super eco soaps, and then you can use that water to water plants. Gray water can be soapy if you're using the biodegradable soap, and then you can water plants. Or you can have gross gray water with non-eco soap if you need to, and you can use that to flush your toilet. You just accumulate a bucket of water and then you pour it slowly into your toilet and the toilet will flush. And toilets have drinkable water in them, which is crazy use of or waste of water. Alrighty. D. Galuccio, we belong to a local C.S.A, which is community supported agriculture. It's a great way. Hippies get a bad rap often, or eco people. Often it's the environmentalists who are closest with farmers. And farmers, typically aren't these crazy hippie eco people, although they are very eco-responsibly, hopefully. So D, she takes a woven basket to carry her veggies instead of plastic bags. It feels good to know our farmers and to support that community. Amen to that. So when I moved back to Boulder, Colorado, I grew up here, almost all the farms were going out of business. This was around 1999. And then this one restaurant called The Kitchen came into town, and their whole thing was like farm to table before it was cool, kind of hipster style. They were into farm to table before it was cool. And they supported all these farmers, and then suddenly all these restaurants started doing it. And now there's 1 million farms here. I have a friend who is an administrator at a Buddhist university called Naropa University, and he left there, started one of the most successful farms. Farming is now a kind of cool way to make a living and enjoy your life and raise your kids on the farm and all that, again, for a new generation. which is incredibly inspiring. It's so inspiring that I should probably quit this social media stuff and I wouldn't have to look at screens. But then I wouldn't get to talk to you or listen to you. All right, Bill Schrum, who also works with us. What are my thoughts on housing and how it contributes to climate change? Any suggestions with your recent remodel? Yeah, so I remodeled my kitchen. I mean, there's so much in terms of housing. Housing and offices, commercial, residential, is a huge impact, of course, on our planet and how happy our planet is and how clean our air is and whether we're warming our globe or not. So with my kitchen, I did it really cheaply, other than the labor, which, you know, you want to pay people reasonably well, because I just used local milled wood. A lot of it was pine beetle. It was beetle kill, which is a result of climate change. I used an old antique bed I bought off Craigslist many years ago for the legs and for different parts of the sink. I got a free sink from, basically it was getting tossed. It was an antique sink. So there's a place here in Boulder, and many of you have the similar thing. It's like a salvage yard where everyone takes their houses, when they tear apart their houses and build something new, a lot of it goes to this place called Resource. You can Google it, Resource Boulder. It's very inspiring, but you probably have something close to you. So